And by the way, I'm Gyemu Tyoden. I'm the father of Mark Tyoden. At times you have sleepless for the whole night. You will not sleep, because as long as the person is in pain, you must keep watch. And a distressing thing that if anyone dies and we hear he dies of, or she dies of a sickle cell disease, that I think one's heart will skip. But I want to thank God that since the 2015 experience, he has not had any major crisis that lasts for a week. Normally 1 or 2 days, he will be over. When he is administered painkillers and other treatments, he would be over. And so that has been it. My emphasis for people who have this disease, as long as you take care of yourself, has always been emphasized by the caregivers, medical personnel. Sleep under a net. For that which he's not complying at all, but all the same, he's a grown-up, and avoid cold, avoid heat, anything very stressful, that one should avoid it as much as possible. So to that extent, I want to say that we give thanks to God, because though very unpleasant, but God has been helping us to go through it. And we believe that people, I've read stories of people who live up to 70-something years. So I am not discouraged. I'm not discouraged, because I want to believe that the purpose of God in his life will be fulfilled. Yes, I lost a daughter, and very painful indeed. I don't want to remember it, because she was such a vibrant girl, forthcoming and all that. But hers came just too sudden for us. But all the same, we have to give God the glory. And I want to thank those of you that are promoting this awareness. It's very important, because in our time we didn't know, there was not much information about sickle cell disease. And so we just went into marriage without any test, because the awareness was very low, if at all there was any. But now that there is there's much awareness, my advice to anybody getting married is that a test has to be taken. And thank God for some of our churches, especially some of us in Cochin Church, a test has to be administered before the marriage, so that the intending couple will be properly counseled. I think that is very important. So I think so far that is the experience that one can say one has gone through and is still going through. But the most important thing is that there is a positive attitude. And I'm very happy that the awareness is going on. There are foundations that are coming up to give support to people who are suffering from this type of disease, which is very important, that people are supported. I think so far that is what I can say that has been my experience with as a caregiver of somebody who is suffering from this disease. I think we should not be selfish about the so-called love, because we are thinking of the product of that relationship. That when the product comes, it is you. Although you may be a parent, you are inconvenienced because of the sickness, but it is the person that suffers it. And so when we think more of the product of the relationship, we should take counsel that never at all better a broken relationship than something that you go into and somebody becomes a victim of your own so-called love. I think anybody who is thinking in that direction has not, I wouldn't say, I know there are people who may still think, but all the same, the choice is theirs, but then they have to know the consequences, that this is the likely thing that will happen. So that never, for some of us that have experienced it and are experiencing it, I will never allow, I will never allow anybody from my family, that when a test is conducted and I found that your partner, intending partner, is this and you insist, I think that will not for us, for me, will not stand, because they say experience is the best teacher. You don't gamble with somebody's life. You don't gamble with somebody's, it is somebody's future. Never gamble. I wouldn't advise anybody to gamble, so that you don't play God. Knowledge, after all, is given by God. And if this is what knowledge has said, this is what science, medicine has said, then we better take caution, rather than trying to put God to the test that you gamble because of love and that kind of a thing. No. I think that is very wrong, and it is very selfish. I wouldn't advise anybody to do that. I think with the awareness that is going on, and like the one we are doing now, people should know that it is not only sickle cell disease that kills. Every disease can kill. And it is like any other disease, only that it can be avoided. I think that is the bottom line. But if perchance anybody is a victim, as in case in my own family, we should be supportive. Because psychologically, when you are pitying somebody, it is very wrong. They need support, they need encouragement. And when they develop a positive attitude towards life, who knows? They will go a long way in achieving their objectives in life. As I've told you, I've read of stories of people who have lived for 70-something years. 70-something years. They live to old age. And of course, that would depend on observing the protocols, taking proper care, So sickle cell is not a death sentence. It's not a death sentence at all. There are survivors. They are all over the place. And so that should give encouragement to parents who have children of that nature, to support them as much as possible, and then see what God can do. So I don't see it as a death sentence at all, because people are dying every day, not necessarily from sickle cell disease. There's a young man in fact, we are closely related he's closely related to this family. He's AA, of course, and the lady she has sickle cell disease. I know the struggle that he went through to marry the girl, because his parents said no, but he said he loved the girl. Not that he is not AS, he's AA. And so from knowledge, we know that AA plus AS will not give SS. Not be so. So that being the case, he insisted, and today they are, I will say that they are happily married, and I think they have 1 or 2 children also. So there are people. If it is somebody who is AA wanting fall in love with an AS, that should be encouraged. All what we are saying should not be encouraged is that SS plus SS. The girl is SS and you are SS, and then you say there is love. No. But for anybody, whether you are the girl and you are AA and you meet a boy and you love him and he's AS, I encourage that, because after all, you will not give birth to children that are SS. As for whether he will die soon or she will die soon, that should be left to God, because death that are occurring every day is not from those that have sickle cell disease, because people sleep and do not wake up. So that should not be a yardstick. I think a relationship of AAS should be encouraged, so that anybody who is a sickle cell disease should not be seen as an outcast. It's not a disease that is transmitted by touch or anything. It is through the blood and through sexual relationship. So I think this enlightenment that you people are doing will go a long way in disabusing the minds of people who have such a negative attitudes or thoughts about people who are affected by sickle cell disease. But this is from my little reading, they say it is mostly from, this disease is mostly common among Africans. What technology, to what extent are such technologies available for us here in Africa? And given what we are going through, that somebody can access and say, yes, the technology will help me to overcome this condition. I think that may still be a dream far away from people. Common people are affected that cannot afford the cost, whatever. Even if the technology were available, can the ordinary man afford the cost for you to venture in such a relationship simply because of love? So for me, I think we should wait and take to counsel that SS and SS relationship should be discouraged as much as possible. But where somebody insists, as I said earlier on, that will be seen as selfishness. Because you may love your wife or love your husband, but the one you give birth to, that is the problem. AS and AS, I think it will give you SS. I think so. The product will be, any child born from that combination will be SS. So it's still a wrong relationship, not to be considered at all. Well, my name is Gyemu Tyoden. I'm a retired civil servant. I retired in 2010. Been engaged in some farming activities, and I think that is all. But society should be more supportive to anybody, any child with that condition. And as I've said earlier on, I think there are many foundations that are coming up, like what you are doing is an enlightenment. We only hope that possibly you should go to the extent, places like churches where information can easily be disseminated. And as I told you before, my church, the Cocking Church, does not encourage marriage between people of that can give birth to an SS child. And so for us, we should be supportive. If you have a child with such condition in your family, rally around the parents to support them. The child does not need pity, but encouragement. Because when you encourage it boosts their spirit and makes them to see themselves as part of society. But when they are isolated simply because they have this condition, I think that's the most terrible thing that we can do to them. So for me, society needs to encourage any child, support the families, support them, pray for them. Whatever encouragement you will give, please do.